Welcome back, friends. Today we're checking out Solo Leveling Arise, and this is pretty much just the mobile game version of the Solo Leveling series. I'm going to check out a little bit about the game and see what kind of modes they have, see what type of characters you can use, and just talk a little bit about what type of game this is. So to begin with, this is sort of like the main hub center here. As you can see, there's a lot of different areas you can go to. And so you're going to start off here in the game modes section. And as you can see here, you have a lot of different modes here that you can play. But of course, at the very top, you have the story mode. And here in story mode, you have two different difficulties. I've already completed 100% of normal mode, so I'm playing on hard mode now. And in just another patch or so, we're going to get very hard mode. And essentially what they are is you go through the stage here of the story. So here you have the stage, here you have the start, and then you can begin your story. But before I show you that, I'm going to take us back to the menu section. And here you can learn a little bit about the characters and about where you start. So here first you have Sung Jin-woo, which is the main character you're going to be playing with. And now he has his own status section here. So essentially when you start off, you're going to start off playing with just him. You're going to have here towards your right, you're going to have the type of weapons he could use. And essentially you can play with two different weapon styles at the same time, and you can switch them out as you play in real time. Towards the left, you have his stats up at the top left, and you can add in your own stats, essentially customizing the type of character you play, character style rather, that you play with when you're using him in the main story mode. And just underneath that you have the skills, and then you can switch these out for different skills. And then as you can see here, you have grades of skills. So you have here the blue stone in the background, you have here the purple stone, and you have here the gold stone. And there's also a red stone, which is the newer version. And all of these just essentially are higher grades of the same type of skill. Here at the bottom, you have other skills, but these are essentially something like buffs. So you equip these into these different slots here, and you can have a passive buff. And they do have elements as well. As you can see here on the weapons, you have the purple outline of the element, and on the bottom you have the blue outline of the element. And these are essentially the elements that you use. The top would be dark, and the bottom would be water. This section here is your equipment, and little by little as you play the game, you can collect different types of equipment and create your own sets. And then this is another set of equipment. These are sort of like relics, like a unique accessory type of equipment that you can use, and also they have their own passives. So that was Sung Jin-woo's character status menu. And then to the right of that you have hunters, and then when you enter this screen, you get to see a selection of all the hunters that you have already acquired. And just for reference, I have acquired all of them. You can see at the top essence stones, and these are essentially used for gacha pulls. As long as you play the game a little bit every day, you're going to get a lot of these essence stones, and you have a lot of chances to pull these characters. Now, even though you can get them, it doesn't mean that they're going to be quite as powerful as you would like them to be. So something like a duplicate character, and you can increase their stats or skills or abilities here. And then next you have the weapons section, and this essentially is just the main screen for Jinwoo's weapons. And you see, as you can see, you can collect quite a few of them. Once again, I do have just about every weapon except the specialty weapons. And as you can see, once again, I mentioned there are elemental based weapons, and you do want to use the right element to fight the enemies. And now each hunter has their own unique weapon, which, as you can see here, Gotoriji's exclusive weapon, and it adds these effects to it. And then just to the right of the weapons section, you have artifacts. And again, these are pretty much just your standard equipment. I do have a couple of level 100s here. And then to the right of artifacts are the cores. And cores, again, are sort of like a specialty accessory that you can add on to your characters. And they have special set bonuses as well. All right, now those things are out of the way. Those are the main aspects of your characters and your equipment sets. So you have the draw menu here. When you select this, you'll be pulled over to the gacha section. You have tickets up here to your right, and you have down here banners. So these are for the newer characters here to the left. Towards the right, you have custom summons. Essentially, what you can do is you can select your preferred rate up, and previous characters that have already appeared on the banner, you can select those and add them to the selection list. And the same goes for Sung Jin-woo's weapons. So he does have his own unique weapon custom draw banner. Here to the right is the shop. And now the thing about this game is it has a lot of advertisements and marketing here in the game to try to get you to purchase something. You have a special subscription here, which really boosts the time that it takes to go through all the content. And if you're somebody that doesn't want to wait that long, definitely invest in this. But besides that, you also have a lot of other things here. You have a level up shop. You have a special update shop here for the new characters. Here we have an anniversary shop for the first anniversary. You have special login shop, and the list goes on and on and on. And this game relies very heavily on trying to get you to purchase things. And it is honestly a little bit intrusive, so that's probably one of the least things I enjoy with this game. But I get it, they're just trying to make their sales, but I could live without it. Anyways, back to the main menu. Here we have certain challenges. You can complete these challenges and you can get yourself some custom draw tickets. You also have special missions that you can complete, daily missions, weekly missions, and with this you can get certain rewards at the bottom. And then you have other tools that you can use, things like crafting, where you can craft gear or items that you need. Fusion, where you can fuse together other items to create greater versions of those items. You have dispatch mining team, which is for another content that I'll be showing you in just a minute. You have special commission, where you can kill a certain amount of enemies and get rewards. You have the armory, where you can upgrade weapons. You have hunter preview, which lets you see the new hunters that appear. You can test them and see if you like them, if you want to pull on them or not. You have battle tier, which pretty much just shows the highest amount of power you have and gives you rewards for it. You have skill research and gems, which essentially let you power up your skills and the gems that you get. You have challenge medals, custom index, forum, tutorial, etc, etc. Also here at the top, eventually when you play enough content, you're going to get this thing here called remnant power. And essentially this is a special attack that you can use in battle, and it helps you deal a lot of damage to enemies and gives you certain buffs. Also, a big part of this game is something called Army of Shadows. Essentially, when you play through the main campaign, you will defeat these enemies and you'll collect them here in your Army of Shadows. And if you've watched the anime or if you've read the manhwa, you recognize some of these already, especially this guy here in the back, Beirut. Now, in the Army of Shadows, you're able to upgrade the entire army. So you have here the army level, and the higher you increase them, the greater the stats are. But also you can increase each individual shadow and summon them later on, but I'll show you that eventually. As you can see here, you can upgrade these skills for each individual shadow, and they each have their own unique weapon here, which also adds quite a bit of damage to them. Here in the bottom right, you have something called shades. So for example, one shadow may need 500 of these shades to summon them. You only have a limited amount of them, but they're really very easy to get back, so you really don't have to worry about using them up. We're going to move on to some of the actual gameplay content, and we're just going to show a little bit of the story here. So once you go to the stage and you select the stage you want, you're going to be here in the main menu, character selection menu. Here to the left, you're always going to have Sun Jin-woo for the main story quest. And then here to the right, you're going to have a hunter section. And here you can select the hunters that you want to use and add them in along with their weapons. And then to the far right, you have the Shadows Authority, which is essentially those shadows that I showed you before. You can add them in here. You can have up to 3 at a time. And at the very bottom is the Remnant Power, which I mentioned was a special summon that you could use to do a lot of damage to enemies in the stage. So I already have my team set up here. I'm going to hit enter and we're going to see what the stage looks like. Do it like that. Then do it like this. Do it like that. Then do it like. Do it like that. Then do it like this. Do it like that. Then do it like. Do it like that. Then do it like this. Do it like that. Then do it like this. Do it like. Now here at the top at the stage selection screen, you do have this where it shows the quantity of trophies that you've completed or received, and based on how many you get, you can actually receive extra rewards. So the more of these you do, the more rewards you get. Now, as you can see here at the very bottom right version of the story mode is called Reverse. And essentially what it is just you using your hunters, mainly in this case, instead of Sun Jin-woo, you'll use your hunters to complete the missions, and then the hunters will be the one battling instead of Sun Jin-woo. So we're going to auto form this party, and we're going to hit enter, and we're going to see what that looks like. Like this. Like that. Then like that. Like this. Like that. Okay, on to some of the other content really quickly. We have here something called the Hunter Archive, and this essentially lets you see a little bit about the character and their background. And after you view all the entries there, you can open up something called the Secret Library. Essentially, the Secret Library lets you build up a certain amount of points here. When you get enough points, you can go down to this section here called Rewards, and you can obtain some of the rewards here on the list, culminating with an extra type of outfit, which is essentially like the same outfit but just with a different color. You also have something here called Battlefield of Trials. And Battlefield of Trials is a ascension type of content. So you go through the floors, you beat what you can, and you get rewarded for it. You can do this both with Sun Jin Woo as a player here, and then you can also use just the hunters as well. Then we also have here something called gates. So every day you're going to get a certain amount of keys here at the top, and you're going to use those keys to enter these gates. And when you do these gates, you will get these rewards here listed at the bottom. And here you can do sort of like a offline waiting period to mine the gate that you completed. And from there, you're also going to get different types of rewards as well. After that, you also have encore missions and instance dungeons. Essentially, they're just different dungeons for different type of equipment. So for example, if you want accessories, you're going to do the instance dungeon. And if you want gear like gloves, boots, armor, helmet, things of that nature, you're going to do the encore missions. And they do change over time. So after a couple of days or weeks, they'll change to a different type of enemy with a different element and a different type of gear set as well. Then you do have the battlefield here, and these are essentially for your gems. So you can get different type of gems. They do have their own function as well. So here in the gem section, you could kind of see that here. Blue gems can give things like HP percent. Red gems can give things like attack percent. Yellow gems can give things like defense penetration. Purple gems can give speed percentage. And green gems can give things like defense percentage. Now, time for a little bit of a different type of content. So here to the right, you have something called Battlefield of Time. And here you can do certain challenges which refresh every couple of days. And this is sort of like a time challenge. So essentially, you're going to go through these stages here, and you're going to see how fast you can beat these bosses. And depending on how fast you do it, you will get your own specific rank, as you can see here. And depending on the rank, you'll get specific type of rewards. You also can do guild boss if you join a guild. And again, the same thing depends on how much damage you do to the boss and how much time you take up, and you will get rewards for that as well. Then you also get something called Power of Destruction, and this is based on total damage against the enemy. As you can see here, you have tiers of reward. For this one specifically, I've hit the max tier, so tier 25 of 25. So I will be receiving the maximum reward when the calculation period is up. And then on the bottom, finally, we have these two gaming modes here. One of them is Simulation Gate, which I'm going to show you first. And Simulation Gate is essentially a rogue-like game mode where you go through the stages, you pick up buffs or utility upgrades, and it'll help you to get past the stage. And when you finally get past the stage, you do get rewarded. What you get are books, and the books are essentially what you use to add on stats or other bonuses to your equipment. And then finally, we're going to Workshop of Brilliant Light. And now these stages are very difficult, and they do require you to do a bit of a manual battle period. So these are sort of like large raid bosses. Once you go into these stages, you can see what type of enemies you're going to fight. So in my case, if I wanted to fight him, I'll go enter. I'll use one of my raid tickets, and then I have a couple of enemies that I'll have to face before I get to the final boss. And as you saw before, this is where you get the remnant power from. If you defeat him, you can get that power. Also, if you defeat him again, you get these crystals here, and these crystals allow you to upgrade that remnant power. So what do I actually think about this game? Once again, this is a gacha game in a lot of ways. It's very heavily advertised to get you to spend a lot of money. It is a little annoying, it is a little intrusive, but I get it. You know, they want to make their sales, but it's kind of expected in these type of gacha games. But besides that, once again, this game is very auto friendly, so you don't have to spend all day playing the game. You know, if you're busy doing something else, you can throw it on auto and get your missions done. One thing about this game is you have to be prepared for a lot of micro improvements. And what does that mean? Essentially, it means that you're not going to power up immediately right away. You will be working on very small increments of increases to your power. Progress is slow, but it's also kind of fun because there's always going to be that sense of accomplishment when you upgrade. Oh, just 50 points or 100 points. So that is kind of a plus. It kind of keeps you engaged in the game with those micro increase to your power levels. Now, at the end of the day, I don't know that this is a game for everyone. So for those of you who are fans of solo leveling like I am, you probably will enjoy this game. But for those of you who are not fans of gacha games, you probably won't like this game. But overall, it's a decent game, but I wouldn't say it's for everyone. And it certainly has a lot of drawbacks, and there's a lot of things that I don't particularly enjoy. So just keep that in mind if you plan to try out this game. So there you have it. This is Solo Leveling Arise, and I'll probably show you a little bit more gameplay at another time. I know I spoke mostly about the systems and how they work and what type of game this is, just so you can get a better idea if this is something you might want to play or not. But that's about it for now. Let me know in the comment section below if you're interested in this game or if you're going to give it a shot. Or also let me know if there are any other mobile games that you might want me to play. If you're interested in gaming content like gameplay, narratives, game reviews, gaming news, and commentary, consider liking this video and subscribe to Heroes Blade. Until next time, wish you all the best and God bless.